that. Joining me now for more on all of this is Dr. Rebecca Grant, president of IRIS Independent Research and a national security and military analyst. And we have Mel Martinez, former Republican Florida senator, former housing and urban development secretary. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Dr. Grant, I'll start with you. They call it a rollback, but there are some things that are going to stay in place. The U.S. Embassy will remain in Havana. Transfer of U.S. cash to Cuba will remain. You can still buy cigars and rum. What do you make of this?
Exactly. So some good pieces are staying, the embassies are staying open, but Melissa, what I heard here was some real strategic passion. National security, I think, has been a big part of this. Don't forget, Cuba flaunts its friendship with North Korea. The president deals every day with the prospect of a nuclear-armed North Korea. The Cubans have been caught shipping arms. They won't recognize the South. So there's a big national security piece here. President Trump just does not want to continue to support the Cuban military dictatorship in any way whatsoever.
Yeah. Senator Martinez, I mean, the talk is that this is about not putting money into the hands of the oppressive government, that there's going to be regulations on transactions with Cuban intelligence and security services, a tightening of individual travel, but also restrictions on commerce with the Cuban government. Does that make sense?
Well, look, I think they're measured steps. I don't think we have a complete rewrite, which would not have been the right thing to do. I think the president struck a pretty good balance, which is keeping the diplomacy open, invite the Cubans to the table to negotiate what would have been a deal with some level of compromise, unlike a unilateral sort of agreement that we reached with them before by the United States giving in on every issue and receiving nothing in return. So I think it strikes a fair balance. I think it's important that we maintain some of the business links that have been developed, but that we particularly focus them on those opportunities that arise with people as opposed to with the oppressive and repressive regime, which is who's benefiting under the current situation. So I think it's a good balance that has been struck, and I think it's going to open up some opportunities. But by the way, for too long, we hear about how all the people in Miami, they just want their property back. When you see the passion and the story that he told about the violinist, this is about human freedom. This is about a lot more than you know, some expropriated property 50 years ago. Who cares about that? That's important, but the real important is the human freedom and the opportunity for people of Cuba to have a dignity to live in a place that observes their human rights.
Okay, Dr. Grant, I mean, the argument against what President Obama did is that the dissidents that were released were then thrown back in jail as soon as President Obama left the country. They also say that once you do business with whoever's in charge in Cuba, whether it's the military or anyone, once they start to get that money and you take it away, it provides more of an incentive. Now they've had a taste of it. They want to renormalize relations, that maybe we have a stronger bargaining position. What do you think?
Well, I think the intent of the change in status is to help the smaller businesses. And we've heard both Senator Rubio and the president talk about that. So we want to get back to that principle of human freedom. We want to help those smaller businesses and not necessarily just funnel everything into Gaisa and to the others. You know, the Raul Castro's son-in-law controls the container shipping port that gets the Russian oil shipments. It's a mess. So we really need to relook at that deal. And I think that's the fair balance that they're trying to strike and to make things better overall. We all want to see human freedom go forward. We just need a better deal to do it.
Senator Martinez, I mean, people on the other side make the argument that you want to usher democracy into the country, you want to give them a taste of American goods, you know, what it's like to be free so that the people are more empowered, and they want to overthrow the oppressive regime that all these years of trying to isolate them has not worked. What do you say against that?
Well, I think that the fact is that giving people opportunity to have a better life, I don't think it's about an overthrow, because the repressive machinery that the Cubans have in place is not going to be overthrown by demonstrators, but it's just an observance of human rights, and it's encouraging the Cuban government to understand that their current regime, their current system, simply does not work. I mean, there's countless numbers of American businesses who've tried to go to Cuba to do business, but they find the environment to be unwelcoming. There's no system of law. There's no system of organized arbitration. There is no way of employing Cubans directly. You have to employ them through the Cuban government. They have two currencies. Cuba's just a mess. It's not an environment which invites for foreign investment. As you know, Melissa, the investment dollars can gravitate to many different places, and they're going to seek an environment that is welcoming, not one that is really a very difficult place in which to do business.
Well, it will certainly be interesting to see what happens from here. We wish them the best. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary of